Giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live, presented by Texas Family Fitness, Freeman, Mazda, Hyundai, and Worth the Poor. I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom. Hey, man. Hey. I feel good today because I had a great holiday weekend. Doing nothing. Doing nothing. But today coming up, we got one of my favorite series that I do any time of the year. And it is the State of the Unit series. And we're going to start off today with the wide receivers because how fitting. Jerry Jones has some things to say about our star wide receiver, Ceedee Lamb. Also in the roundup, contract, another big contract given out that's going to affect the Dallas Cowboys. I'm telling you, so get ready for it. It's going to affect the Cowboys. And I want to know if you guys feel like they should do a similar deal. We'll get into that. Some other things that Jerry had to say in the roundup as well. Nothing too serious, but I know some of the old school fans might not feel or appreciate what he had to say about said player. All right. And then once we're done with all that, we'll jump straight into the State of the Unit. A lot of people have not been here when I started this series. It is, I want to say probably, it is my favorite series to do because I wait till after the draft. I wait till after free agency. We'll see where the team stands at that said position, and we dive in detail for each and every player-ish from that position. And we'll do that today, even though we've touched on the wide receivers throughout the offseason. We're going to touch on them as a collective, and couldn't be a better time after what Jerry had to say. So it couldn't be a better time. If you want, you can call into the show. 351-999-3787 is the call-in line. And exactly, Derek, you already know how it is, man. Shout out to the Bomb Squad, by the way.
Bomb Squad!
Salute to y'all being up in here as we get ready to start this show. Let's continue to come on in. We got Jose, Gotti Baby, James Rogley, Derek Fisher, Mark Smith, Tom, David J. I think I said it already. Kay Richards, Oscar Sullivan, J. A. Adam Mack, Mac Jones, James Rogley, TC915, Travis Henry on Facebook, Bill Pugh on Facebook, Alpha Mason, Sully says Sky on time. Boy got some cutty last night. Boy, y'all don't quit. Jermaine Underwood, what's up, man? Professor O in the building, Stephen White, Mayor 0101, Lauren, Toxic Tom, Downey burner account early with the zinger says the picture of Michael Gallup should be of him with street clothes. CJ Richards, AJ Torres, C. Burleson, Iceberg Q, Grant Rain, H2O, John Garcia, Primetime, Phil, Chuck P, Tino Santiago, Matt Goddix, Mel Hayes was good, Samuel Rowe, he says 921 gang, almost. But hey, this is on time for me, man. It's on time for me. I appreciate y'all being here, man. What's up, Ghostface Killer, Jaws 88, Kenneth Martin, Felipe, all the way from France. What's good, Lee, my bro, the dungeon, bro. Jermaine Underwood, and the many more coming through. I appreciate it. Make sure y'all check me out here on Twitter as well, at Skywalker Still. All right, I'm ready. If y'all ready. Well, before I say that, let me first say rest in peace to Jeff Gladney, who passed away suddenly, I believe, yesterday morning. I didn't realize this until it happened because I'm in Dallas now, but he's a Texas native, apparently. So rest in peace to him and his girlfriend. They passed away in a car accident here in Dallas. And I bring this up not only to give him his rest in peace wishes here, but Dallas, man, if you live in Dallas, I joke a lot about driving, but I'm serious. please don't text and drive. Please be on the lookout, because drivers down here, for whatever reason, and I get it, everywhere else people can't drive, but I've never seen anything like this in Dallas. It's dangerous out here on this road, and every time I go out to drive, I'm on my P's and Q's like I've never been in my life. So rest in peace to Jeff Gladney and his girlfriend, and my condolences to the family of Jeff and his girlfriend as well.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time. It's time.
It is time for...
It's time for the Morning Roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Yes, indeed. The Morning Roundup presented by Texas Family Fitness. Strive for progress, not perfection. But more than just a fitness club, they provide the tools, support, and state-of-the-art resources you need to achieve your goals. They now have 13 different locations in the DFW area, all state-of-the-art. So check any of them out. Let them know that Skywalker sent you, A to Z sent you, or visit TexasFamilyFitness.com for more information. First up on the Morning Roundup docket, David Njoku, who we talked about early in the offseason, early, as a potential guy to keep your eye on for the Cowboys if they decide to move on from Dalton Schultz. Well, that never was a possibility. Cowboys tagged Dalton Schultz, but so did the Browns. They tagged David Njoku. Well, David Njoku just got his bread. He signed a 4-year, $56 million, $28 million guaranteed deal, which averages out to about $14 million per year. Is Dalton Schultz next? Should Dalton Schultz be next? And the Skywalker's feelings changed a little bit on old Dalton Schultz. I'll start off with the last one. My feelings have not changed on Dalton Schultz. I still think he's a good tight end. He's a solid tight end. However, they are absolutely open to change on Dalton Schultz. And we talked about this last week about who we believe, or who I believe, has broken the wall down, has busted through their ceiling, and now has new expectations. Dalton Schultz was one of them for me. And if he can become that dude, then sure, pay him. I wouldn't have a problem with that, especially after seeing some of these other guys. But he's working his way towards that. I just want to see him take that next step individually as a player. But when it comes to production, when it comes to being steady, Schultz has been pretty steady the last 2 years. 600-plus yards, 800-plus yards, 4 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns. I mean, if he continues on that trajectory, he'll be well worth the money. But if he dips down to, in the middle of the last 2 seasons, then I don't know if I do know. I'm not willing to pay that kind of money. But there's no doubt about it, Dalton Schultz is smiling ear to ear right now after seeing David Njoku's deal. 4 years, $56 million, 14 per. Schultz is going to be looking to get 14 per plus and $56 million plus. I'll say this. If you're able to pay him that amount of money and you're still able to upgrade elsewhere or keep better players elsewhere, sure. If he's continued to improve. If not, I think you move on. So what I'm saying is, franchise tag, let him play on it. I would not sign the deal right now. Let him play on it and see what happens after the season. So Jerry has some things to say at an event he was at this weekend pertaining to a couple of the Cowboys players, and one of them was rookie Tyler Smith. Listen, when Jerry opens his mouth about certain players and comparing them to Hall of Famers, I just kind of roll my eyes. And hell, fans do the same thing. They do the same thing. But he compared Tyler Smith to Larry Allen. Now, he did it in terms of strength, and he believes he'll help the Cowboys knock back some defenses in the run game per Clarence Hill. He told Clarence he's not comparing them as a player. I'm not saying that, but he is strong, and we are pleased. To me, the fact that they keep on bringing up his strength and keep on bringing up, hey, he's a first-round pick too, so that this plays a part in it. But you can just tell the front office, they felt the lack of strength from Connor Williams, and they were just tired of it. There was some people who were willing to pay Connor Williams that $11+ million or whatever he got over there in Miami. They weren't ever going to do that. I never believed they were going to bring Connor Williams back because they benched him. But you can tell they wanted to go the complete opposite and bring in a guy that was strong against the point of attack. And at the very least early on, I've said this a lot, Cowboys Nation, Tyler Smith may not be as we ain't on Vacho, but he may not be as nuanced. He may not be as experienced, but damn it, he's going to be stronger than Connor Williams. I don't even think that's up for debate. It took Connor Williams 3 years just to get respectable in the strength department. He came in sub 300. Didn't get to 315 plus until year 2 and some change. So, from a strength department, from a moving people department, yeah, Tyler Smith is going to be an upgrade there. Speaking of upgrade, let me upgrade you. He also had this to say about Ceedee Lamb. He told Clarence Hill that he expects Ceedee Lamb to be an upgrade over their former top wide receiver, Amari Cooper. He noted his production in the huddle and off the field. And that, Cowboys Nation, is where I want to start our State of the Unit series with one Ceedee Lamb. I can't believe I have to say this about Ceedee Lamb, but I'm going to say it. Lamb seems to be under fire among Cowboys fans right now. And I wonder if most of that has to do with you being frustrated with the team, if it has to do with moving on from Amari Cooper, I don't know. But for a guy who, if I'm not mistaken, is second to legendary Bob Hayes in receiving yards to start his career as a Dallas Cowboy, and that's with being the number 3 option and the number 2 option, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting. I really can't wrap my head around why there seems to be this split between a guy that I think you drafted to literally take on this role. Most fan bases would be excited about a guy like this. Most fan bases would get behind a guy like this, but it seems as though this fan base is split. So I'll ask you, and then we'll listen to Ceedee Lamb talk about his leadership, his role, and taking the next step. Do you believe Ceedee Lamb is a number 1 wide receiver in this league? Not by default, by his play style, by sheer talent. And do you believe he can be a bona fide guy that you don't even think twice about as a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL, Cowboys Nation? Because it's baffling to me, to be completely honest. I'm going to go back through these chats as you guys talk about that. I kind of want to go all the way back to Dalton Schultz because I want to see what you guys say. Stephen White says Schultz rocked last year. Focus. He was rock solid. Stephen White, I tell you that. He's rock solid. Professor O says Dak likes Schultz a lot. I have a feeling he does get a deal. If he improves, I would not be mad at it. I'll be honest with you. I would like to see him play on it though, personally. Big Sarge says I agree. Play on the tag. That's where I'm at with it, Sarge. Play on the tag. 5 for 65 for Schultz, says Stephen White. Woo! 5 for 65. That's a long-term commitment. A lot of money. What's the guarantee, though? You know you can get out of it. Okay, so Connor only got $7 million. I still wouldn't have paid Connor Williams $7 million. I wouldn't have paid him that much money. Let's see here. Everybody's saying yes, easy, yes, Lou. Toxic says yes. Mar says yes. Tino, I believe. Lamb is our number one dog. Let me mute you here. Big time number one, yes. No, says Jermaine. Yes, seems to be overwhelmingly yes. Let's take a listen to Ceedee Lamb. Like I said, speak on his leadership, speak on his potential role, and kind of just being that guy now.
How different do you think your role is going to be in the system, too? Beyond just getting more balls, but are they moving you around more? Or what's
Yeah, most definitely. It's a little bit of everything, movement, positioning, but that's all for the better and kind of helping me grow as a player. You know what I'm saying? Understanding different looks, understanding how the defense is going to play, and understanding my approach. So just different ways you can look at it, but you got to find a happy medium.
What's your focus on in terms of developing and taking that next step as a player?
Most importantly, just stepping up regardless in any situation. First down, second down, just always being that guy, that everyone can count on. And by everyone, I mean everyone that's in this locker room. I want to be accounted for, and I want to be that guy.
See, how much is being that guy, being more vocal, leadership in the receiver room? Because MG talked about that too. If I need to be more vocal, stepping up, with Amari gone, how much it is?
It's very important because obviously I wasn't young too long ago. You know what I'm saying? And I was all in Amari's ear, and I'm sure he was tired of me asking questions. But I mean, he gave me an answer for every question I needed. So therefore, I want to pass the wealth. And if those guys need me, I'm already there. And they know that. And as far as growing, I'm still learning from my coach. If I have a question about myself, I'm asking him. Like, let me know whatever you see that's wrong, and we'll get it fixed. But and that all comes with chemistry and just bond.
Chemistry and bond. Keep that in mind. Pin that, because we're going to talk about it later and how important that is. And I think it's something that is getting extremely overlooked in regards to Dak Prescott and Ceedee Lamb. But to go back to what Jerry Jones said, he said he believes that Ceedee Lamb is going to be an upgrade over Amari Cooper. Now, I think there's some truth to that in certain areas. And let's talk about what area that is. And that's the big playability. Per Marcus Mosier over on Twitter, he says Lamb has created the second most big plays in the NFL since 2020, only behind Justin Jefferson. He might be behind Justin Jefferson in total big plays, but he has a higher big play percentage than Justin Jefferson. Now let's get back to kind of those little things that matter. Little things like moving his locker next to Dak, being in the same, sitting next to Dak in the offensive meeting rooms, developing that chemistry and bond. Those things can pay dividends and are very important. Because we saw too many times last year on the back half of the season, Dak and Lamb were not on the same page. Now, most of that, I think, was purely not practicing together or not playing much together in the grand scheme of things. Here's something I think goes missed. Dak Prescott and Ceedee Lamb have missed 15 out of 34 possible games. Almost a season's worth of games. It gets overlooked, especially for a young wide receiver. Look, a guy like Amari Cooper, while it's not popular, he can miss practice because he's a veteran. He's been in this league a long time, and he played with Dak Prescott for 4 years. Lamb and Dak have literally missed a season's worth of games. Here's some context to that. I went and looked at a couple of the top wide receivers in the league and duos or whatever. Tyreek Hill. He's missed 6 games since Pat has taken over at quarterback in 2007. 2018, I believe. 17 or 18, I can't quite remember. I think it was 18. 6 games in that 4-season span. Now, Pat has missed a few, but they've played for a long time, and he's only missed a handful of games. Devonte Adams and Aaron Rodgers the absolute most dangerous duo in the NFL over the last 8 years. They played 8 years together. Adams missed 8 games in general. Now, Aaron Rodgers missed a few, but again, they played 8 years together. What about Justin Jefferson, another rookie? Justin Jefferson has missed 2 games in 2 years over there in Minnesota. 2 games in 2 years. Yeah, Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins. I understand. He's not anybody gets excited about, but he's a guy that can deliver the rock, right? He still can. I always said about Kirk, don't trust him late. Don't really care much for him, but he can still throw the ball. He has arm talent. He's a smart-ish quarterback. And he played damn near every game with Justin Jefferson over the last 2 years, so it's no surprise that Jefferson has been extremely productive. And then I looked at Stephon Diggs in Buffalo. He's missed 0 games in Buffalo over the last 2 years, and it's no surprise that him and Josh Allen have developed that chemistry. So I just think it's something very small that we don't ever think about. We just automatically assume because he's the 17th overall pick, right? It's Ceedee Lamb. It's a star. It's 88. It's 88 that Ceedee Lamb has to right away be Devonte Adams. And Ceedee Lamb and Dak have to be Devonte Adams and Aaron Rodgers, Jefferson and Kirk, Hill and Pat, Diggs and Allen. The situations are different. The context is completely different. Developing that chemistry and bond is maybe the most important thing outside of this offensive line getting right early on in the season, Cowboys Nation. I truly, truly believe that. And I wanted to hammer that home because if Ceedee Lamb does indeed play 15, 16, 17 games with Dak this year, you see those numbers? They'll skyrocket. They'll skyrocket. Now, can we talk about real quick one more thing about Ceedee Lamb? I'm going to get to the phone line. I got 213 on the horn. A lot of people, this is where the drawback is going to come with Ceedee Lamb, and we saw that at the bottom of the stat sheet there. He had 8 drops. Now, I talked about this weeks ago, maybe even months ago, about Ceedee Lamb and his drops. There is no doubt about it. He's got to kind of clean those things up. But I want to bring into context a little bit more. He's not the only top flight wide receiver that deals with the dropsies. Overall, he had less drops than Jamar Chase, Travis Kelce, Deebo Samuels, and DJ Moore. All guys that Jamar is not getting paid, but Deebo is in the running to get paid. DJ Moore got ridiculous amount of money, $20 million per. Travis Kelce. He had the same amount of drops as Cooper Kupp, who was a Triple Crown winner. Keenan Allen, who's a well-respected route runner and wide receiver in this league, and A.J. Brown, who just got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. His drop percentage is less than Chase, Samuels, Brown, and Kelce. So I understand the easy thing to do is say Ceedee Lamb drops the ball too much. Kind of like how people say, Dak Prescott overthrows his receivers too much. But then when you actually go watch and look around the league, it's like, oh, well, kind of does it the same rate as a lot of these other top flight quarterbacks / wide receivers. So context, man. Context matters so much. And don't let the national media fool you. Don't let these fans fool you or anything. Ceedee Lamb's legit, man. He's top flight. Your quarterback's legit. If these boys play together, I think they're going to kill it. All right, let's get into the horns real quick. We got 213 on the line. What you got for us, 213? And I apologize if you called and I ain't saved your name. It will not let me save names no more. What's up?
It's Mel, man. What's going on?
See, Mel, you was saved, and then you done switched your number on me, bro.
What's going on, brother?
What's up, fam?
Man,
how you?
Happy 3-day weekend, bro.
Hey,
glad to hear you got to relax a little bit and do nothing.
Bro, listen. For the last 2 years, me and my lady did a whole bunch of stuff for Memorial Day, and let's just say this: it wasn't the best of Memorial Days, but this year we said we chilling. We chilling because it was just too much going on the last 2 years. We decided to chill, got some things done, did some shopping, some cleaning, fixed up a room. It was a very productive Memorial Day, man. So, you know what I'm saying?
Stuff, shoot and talk.
Yeah. So I hope your Memorial Day weekend was good too, brother.
Yes, sir. CD, man, I think like you've been saying, man, it's all about context. And one context I want to bring into play when we talking about number one receiver and we talking about the Dallas Cowboys is one guy we also got to talk about. We got to talk about Pizza Boy. We got to talk about Pizza Boy because if Pizza Boy is not designing ways to get CD the ball, fans, you can't just come down on CD. I don't think CD is going to be a 100-catch guy in this offense. That's my opinion. I don't think any number one receiver is going to be a 100-catch guy in this offense with Pizza Boy here. But I think CD can be an impactful wide receiver that makes big-time plays at crucial times. And I think that's really what we need here in this offense, and I think CD can definitely be that because that's really what I saw from him last year. I think he did lead the team in catches, or was it Schultz?
He led the team.
Was it CD or was it Schultz?
It was CD. CD led the team in, I believe, receptions, yards, and again, if depending where you look at, I believe PFF gave him that extra catch that other outlets dubbed a run against the New Orleans Saints because it was thrown backwards, but they gave it to him as a catch. So I believe he led him in receptions, yards, and first down receptions.
Yeah, but, he definitely has a chance to get a lot of volume, especially in the first, let's say, 7 or 8 games with Gallup being out.
Yeah.
But I still think that ball gets distributed pretty evenly, but I think CD will probably still get the bulk of it. But Schultz is going to get some. The younger guy is going to get some, and Washington will get some too. But I think CD will be our most impactful receiver. He definitely, like you say, clean up them drops a little bit. With CD, it's not the difficult catches, it's the layups. CD just got to make his layups.
Yeah,
if he does that, man.
He had 8.
Yeah.
Well, PFF gave him 8 drops last year. If you go look at the Giants game, he had 3, and I want to say in the opening night he had at least 2 against the Bucks. That's like 5 of his 8 drops right there. It wasn't like this dude was dropping balls. It was 1 drop for 8 consecutive games or anything like that. So in the grand scheme of things, he wasn't dropping a whole ton. Now, I believe, y'all, he did drop a ball in the playoffs. It was a short, shallow on that 2nd and 11 on the second to last drive. So there's that. So he does have to clean it up regardless, right?
Yeah, he's got to clean it up. But again, it's not like this is a guy that can't make the difficult catches. This isn't a guy that you can't depend on in big time moments. I definitely think CD is in another system. I think CD is a 100-catch guy, but with in our system, I'm not quite sure he's a high volume catch guy, but I definitely feel he will be an impactful wide receiver that makes big plays at crucial times. I saw that a lot from him last year. Go look at that New England game. Fourth and forever. CD comes up with a huge catch. The overtime for a touchdown.
I mean, Mel,
he's
been second in the league in big plays since he came in. And that's with being the number 2 and number 3 wide receiver. So think about it if he's actually, and I'm not saying he wasn't featured last year, but if he's your number 1 go-to guy. And I'm going to tie that back into what you said. It is very dependent on Kellen Moore, and let's not put Dak Prescott beyond reproach. It is dependent on Dak Prescott, too, because he has to have that mentality that my dude is better than your dude, and I'm gonna get him off today. He's going to get busy on your number 1 cornerback.
I agree. Cannot let that off the. Would you say reproach? Yes.
He's not beyond reproach. Yeah. He's not.
Yeah. Dak is involved in that too. But yeah, man, that's my take on it, bro. I'll let some more people jump in.
All right.
But yeah, man, I definitely believe in CD.
I do too, man. Appreciate you, man. I'll get with you.
All right, brother. Yes, sir.
Good stuff from Mel. Yeah, I didn't even bring up the Kellen Moore situation, right? And Dak. We've said this over many times over the last weeks and months, but it's really going to be up to those guys. Listening to CD, going back and watching games again, Dude's got everything you need. He's got everything you want. But one of the most important things that I believe he has, and I say this a lot with Vach, is he wants to be great. That is so important from a guy that is as featured or should be as featured in your offense. So important. Hey, do me a favor, guys, if you haven't, man. Hit that like button. Share this thing. We got a good show lined up for y'all. I'm going to get into one more call here, and then we'll move to the next person in this series. Now, I'm going to say this. I won't go too in on Gallup because he's out. We'll talk about Gallup towards the end. We'll briefly touch on Tolbert as well because we've talked about Tolbert a million times. But it's another guy I want to get into that I think is going to be important to this offense. But before we do that, let's get to 571. I think this is Glenn.
Yes, sir. How you doing, Scott?
What's good, Glenn? How you?
I'm doing well. Had a good Memorial weekend. Went out to Universal with my son, and we had a good time. Now I walked about 62,000 steps. So my feet are killing.
Sheesh, boy.
They killing right now.
Where'd y'all go that you walked 62,000 steps again?
So we went to Universal Studios in Florida.
Oh, man, Universal's amazing. I haven't been since I was a teenager, but I got to go back.
Oh, it was amazing. But I disagree with the last call when he says that Ceedee he doesn't think he can catch 100 balls in the system because in 2020, Amari had 92 with a basically Dak-less season. So, and now that Amari is gone, those touches are going to go somewhere, and it's going to go mainly to Ceedee.
Hey, I was thinking about that too as he was talking. I was like, okay, so who's got the closest to 100? Then I was trying to think of some different perspective. I think it is possible. Here's why: Gallup could be out 4 games, 3-4 games. So that's 3 to 4 games of extra targets going to Ceedee Lamb, right? And even when Gallup returns, it's not like you got Amari Cooper over there as well. So if it's not 100, I think it could easily be 90 something.
Right. He had 80 last season, so I definitely see it possible for him to reach 100 balls. And I definitely believe that he has everything that you need. He has the swagger, charisma. I don't want to say diva because it's seen as a bad in light, but he has that swagger to him. You know what I mean? He wants the ball. He wants to be that spotlight. So that's what you want out of your number one wide receiver. And people like to compare him to Justin Jefferson, but their play style is a different way. Justin Jefferson's more of a route runner. Ceedee still does route running, but he's the yak guy, and he came into the league at like 188, 189. So now he's getting into his, as Bosh like to say, his man body, peanut butter, off-season peanut butter. You're going to see last season we saw a lot of it. He was breaking tackles, a lot of more yak on his catches. So I think Amari with the touches that Ceedee with the touches that Amari was getting, going to him and then also getting spread out to the rest of the offense. Oh, Ceedee's going to have a monster year. I'm very high on Ceedee.
I'm high on him as well. And did you hear that he apparently grew a half an inch and gained like 10 pounds or something crazy like that? All these dudes is apparently just putting on all this muscle in the last 5 months. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, for sure. And it's going to go a long way. I definitely think when it goes back to Kellen Moore and Dak and being able to get him the ball, but I think the recipe is there for a breakout year. And I also did see it was that Dez Bryant had his breakout year in year 3.
Yeah.
That's when he really came alive. So
and very similar.
I think it's possible.
Trajectories, right? Roy Williams was here. Miles Austin was the number 1 wide receiver. Roy was a big paid wide receiver year 1. So and then Dez got hurt. But anyway, then year 2, I think Roy was off the team, but Miles was still here. So Dez was kind of working his way into it. In fact, if I remember, that was the year. Was that the year Tony Romo threw like 5 interceptions against the Bears? And you just saw how out of sync that Tony Romo and Dez Bryant were. People think Dak and Lamb had no connection last year, which is a fallacy. They had connection, but you can see that time not spent together affected them. Go back and watch Des Bryant early on in his career with Tony Romo. Boy, he threw tons of interceptions because of Des Bryant and their connection not being there. So, but then you saw after year 3, they've been together for a while. They figured some things out, figured out best ways to get him the ball, and he just exploded for 3 straight years.
Had a double-digit touchdown, receiving touchdown that season.
Yeah.
So I think like I said, the recipe is there, and Ceedee wants it, and I think that's all you can really ask for out of your number 1 wide receiver.
Yep.
Give him the opportunities, and I think Ceedee will capitalize on them. But thank you, Sky. I hope you have a good rest of your morning. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for calling, brother. You have a good day.
You too.
Yeah, the caller just reminded me about that, and again, I hope that we come away from today's show realizing how important that chemistry is, because we've lived through it. I remember vividly that Bears game, which was unreal, 5 interceptions. He did that a couple times. The Bills won, he won, and I sprained my ankle from that game. But that Bears game reminds me of being at a disconnect with your quarterback and wide receiver, because I believe he threw an interception or 2 because Des Bryant just wasn't where he was supposed to be, or Tony didn't think he was going to be there. So you need that. Fix that, Rich. CJ says, Sky, how do you feel about CD's route running compared to Cooper? Cooper had great route running. Cooper is one of the best route runners in the league. You can argue the best, right? He's top 3 type of route runner in this league. I don't think Lamb is that, but I think Lamb is a smooth route runner. He's so twitched up, and we forget how big he is in the sense of tall. He's 6'2". Now he's closer to 6'3", and he did put on some muscle. You can see that. And I think it was James who said he put on weight, but he still looks like he's skinny. That's because he's lanky. He's tall. He's naturally a tall wide receiver, but he plays tough. He'll truck you type of thing. He'll block. He's aggressive. We just got to see him do some of those things more. Put him in situations to do that more. We hardly ever saw Ceedee Lamb have to go up and get the rock, which is wild to me because he can do it. Good morning, Miss Sheila. All right, let's talk about this other guy in the wide receiver room. I want to show you guys the room in general, because the way we're going to do this is we're going to skip around a little bit. Here's the current wide receiver room, undrafted free agents not accounted for here. We'll get on Michael later, Michael Gallup. James Washington. It's not been an encouraging start for this guy in the offseason with him being in that boot last week. I think it caught a lot of people by surprise. But it's early, and as of right now, doesn't seem to be that serious. But let me just say this about James Washington, because in a way, I think people are allowing his situation in Pittsburgh to kind of dim the light on his talent. Don't let that QB situation fool you, man. Between Ben's noodle arm and the backups that the Pittsburgh Steelers had, I think that you saw James Washington kind of get underutilized in a sense. And then he pretty much got pushed down the depth chart after they drafted Claypool. But in 2019, he led the team in yards. But over the next 2 years, he fell down the depth chart. They had Deontay Johnson, Claypool, and Juju. Even though he got pushed down that depth chart, he still was second in yards per reception in both of those years, in 2020 and 2021. Think about that for a second. Noodle arm ass Ben, backup quarterbacks, pushed down the depth chart, and he still managed to be number 2 in the limited opportunities in yards per reception. And if you go look at his ADOT, which is average depth of target, it decreased every year. And that makes sense when you go look at Ben Roethlisberger getting older every year. So what does James Washington bring to the table? I think he's versatile. I think he's tough. He has that go up and get it ability, as we see well, that's not the one he went up and got it, but he has some deep threat ability. I'd like to see him personally, Cowboys Nation, in the slot because I think he excels in the middle of the field and he can threaten you long or short area with his yak ability. I think we've talked about this before, but in 2021, he played his most snaps in the slot in his career at 40%. And as we know, if you a slot guy on this team, you can get busy. You can get busy. And I just think his yak ability is very akin to a Randall Cobb in the slot. Different than Cole Beasley. Different than Ced Wilson. And obviously body type is different than Ceedee Lamb. Ceedee Lamb has yak ability, but I akin it to Randall Cobb. Now, over his career, he's played on the outside more often than not, but I personally would like to see him in the slot and allow Jalen Tolbert to kind of hone his craft on the outside. Where do you think, Cowboys Nation, or where should James Washington play to you? In the slot or outside? I think that matters. And I personally think if you put him in a slot, a veteran guy, a guy who can be, who's been around this league, played with multiple quarterbacks, played with a winning organization, knows that area of the field better than a Jalen Tolbert, and it'll allow Jalen Tolbert to continue to develop. He's learning that area of the field, right? He only played in the slot last year as a senior at South Alabama. That was his first time really going inside the slot for a little bit. So I'd rather him be right in that slot. Develop that trust and chemistry with Dak and allow Tolbert to develop as a total wide receiver and really be kind of that Michael Gallup replacement. Gallup is gone, so that kind of taller-ish, bigger-ish wide receiver that gets the deep ball that Dak trusts isn't necessarily there, but Tolbert can kind of replace that. Slot, that's a good one. Damage Control says slot. Brando says slotty, too hotty. Man, y'all know how to get my WWE in there. Primetime says everyone everywhere. I think everyone is going to play everywhere, but I don't want to see everybody all over the place scramble. I think what happens is we get into this Madden mode too much. We get into this Madden mode. You can't have 5 different receivers playing in 5 different spots because in reality, the odds of all 5 of them being very confident and secure at those positions and trustworthy are very slim to none. We saw it happen last year. And if you go back and look at the more successful seasons of Dak Prescott, it's when a guy with a certain receiver, it's when they've had, in my opinion, a slot guy. Now, you could move them around. I'm not saying they got to play one spot 100% of the time. Amari Cooper played 30% in the slot, 70-ish% outside. Ceedee Lamb was more split last year due to Michael Gallup being out. But in 2020, he played 93% of the snaps in the slot. Cole Beasley played over 90% of the snaps in the slot. Randall Cobb over 90-some% of the snaps in the slot. Chemistry, bond, connection is important. And especially in a season where you don't have your mainstay wide receivers anymore. You're going to have guys in that room that haven't been there besides Ceedee Lamb. Think about that for a second. Let's get back into the horns. We got D Schiff. Long time no speak. D Schiff, what's goody?
Hey, what's up, Sky?
How you doing, man?
Yeah, man. Just tuning into the show, and I see the topic of the day is just wide receiver outlook, right? Yep. It's been kind of the topic since we let go of Coop. My only take on it is I was just kind of looking at the Rams and the Bengals and, just how their wide receiver numbers were spread out. And, they got Chase and they got Cook. So they got guys who get primarily all of the targets. I think the Cowboys' problem last year and why you question these guys' ability is because there's so much of that ball to go around. And then when you factor in the running game, right, I don't. The Rams didn't have a 1,000-yard back, and the Bengals had Joe Mixon, who had about 1,200, but they didn't have a Tony Pollard, who ran for about 700. So when you talk about where these numbers go, I mean, it's only 60 minutes in the game, you know? And so when you're talking about when the offense has the ball and what they're going to do, I think primarily we came out beginning of the year, people forget how much of a running team we were and how much of that running game would just open up things offensively. And then once, you know, your guys got hurt, I mean, Tony P with the plantar fasciitis, I mean, we can talk about him supplanting Zeke, but if he's going to, you know, go sprint and then, you know, tear something in his foot, you know, you need that bruiser like Zeke to kind of take care of that load so that Tony Pollard
you can say the same thing about TP. You need a guy like TP to be able to spring loose for a guy like Zeke who can't. They need each other.
I think there's the durability of, I mean, just the long haul of the season, right? The marathon of the season, just Zeke's body is built more for it.
And he's getting beat down, Shift. He's been beat down the last 2 years. He hasn't been healthy.
I mean, 1,000 yards, you know.
Who cares about 1,000 yards in an 18-game season? Like
I mean, how many 1,000-yard backs weren't there? I just told you the Rams didn't have
what is 1,000? What is 1,000 yards in a 17-game season, and where they forced that 1,000 yards in Week 18 against practice squad guys? What does that even mean? Who cares about the 1,000 yards?
It's not easy, Scott. It's not easy. Like as much as we want to diminish the 1,000-yard in the passing league and 18. I mean, I'm not saying that it's 2,000 yards. I'm not saying that it was the make or break, but when you consider both of their numbers together, all my point was the fact that you had 1,700 yards running, and that came mostly in the beginning of the year when your running backs were healthy. And so back to the original point of the fact that if your running backs can get some durability, if you can get in a third guy like a Rico Dowdle to come in and kind of spell or be there, because we didn't have a third running back. We didn't have any insurance to Zeke or Tony Pollard.
Which is why I've been trying to harp to you here. They need each other because Zeke has been getting beat down. Like you want to give Ezekiel Elliott the ball 300 and something times.
Yeah, I didn't say that. Each other. I didn't say that Zeke was just the alpha or just he's not rookie year Zeke. That's not my point. My point is just the running game. And so when you have these guys healthy, you know what I mean?
Right.
I understand that Tony Pollard. I mean, he didn't get a lot of the touches, and he still managed to get hurt himself. So, I mean, yeah, we're on the same page in the fact that they need each other. But ultimately, this offense needs that running game because you didn't have that.
Absolutely.
With at the end of the year, it was just your guys got beat up, they got banged up. Your offensive line started falling off. So I think just the narrative that we allow to play and the fear that we've allowed other just the media and other fans to kind of put into the fact that we lost Amari Cooper. There's just a lot of ways to win. Yes, and we saw the Bengals and the Rams do it with wide receivers who got 1,500 yards. You know, Cooper Kupp had about 1,900. But at the same token, that they didn't really rely on their running game as much as you know other teams can, and we've seen championship teams be able to mix in the running game and the wide receivers. So I feel like we have enough. We just at the end of the year we lost out on something that was very vital and important to the way that we play ball.
You're speaking on two sides here. Do we have enough or had enough from last year? Because you said we have enough, and then you referred to last year.
We had enough last year until our running backs got hurt.
Sure, we absolutely had enough last year.
Still have enough. I think if we can stay healthy, have a healthy running game, these guys, James Washington, Tolbert, they're going to be more than enough, is what I'm saying. Because the offensive stats were still comparable. And granted, we might have had an easy schedule, but guess what? This year we still have an easy schedule, you know? So we're not playing the 49ers. We're not playing a Chiefs team that, you know, Chris Jones was balling out of his mind in that game.
We're not playing a lot of those.
Huh?
You're going to have to play those teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, and then playoffs, but you got to get there first, right? And so
something they haven't done in back-to-back years in over a decade, but yeah.
Yeah, and sure. And then, you know, and the Bengals didn't go to the Super Bowl in 30-something years. So, I mean, things are always.
Bengals do things differently than the Cowboys, though. Like the Cowboys are doing the same old thing. The Bengals did not do the same old thing.
Well, recently.
No. 2 years ago, they decided to mix things up. Mike Brown stepped down from doing things and allowed other people to take over, and they went out and they signed free agents. They made moves, and those paid dividends to get there. So, if we're going to compare us to the Bengals, then we got to do what the Bengals do. We haven't.
Yeah, but I just
other than that, you're just living on hope. You're hoping that this team is better. I'm just speaking on what it is at this moment. There's no way this wide receiver group is better than last year right now. They got to go prove that before I could say that. There's just no way, bro. And I know we're talking about the running game and it being better. I think if they can be productive, then that'll help everything out, right? That's clear as day.
Because I don't know. I mean, I get the fact that we're going off of Amari Cooper's ability to take the number one guy and then open up things for Ceedee Lamb and Michael Gallup. But then you're talking about also Ceedee Lamb stepping into his third year, and then I can go and question, is Amari Cooper on the downside of his just his career? I mean, you talk about championship winning teams who know when to get off of players, and then we talk about making those moves, but then we want to keep every guy and we want to stay static versus add some type of dynamic. Go ahead.
I just find that I feel like you're trying to find a reason to why it's okay to get rid of Amari Cooper. And let me just be straight up real quick. Do you think this is a better passing offense than last year? Just straight up.
We got to see it. We got to see it.
Do you? We got to see everything. But it sounds to me like you're talking yourself. It sounds to me like you're talking yourself into saying getting rid of Amari Cooper and no Michael Gallup for the first month of the season. This is a better passing team.
But it doesn't have to be better if other parts of your team come up.
Yeah, I see what we're doing here, Shift. I see what we're doing. Okay.
Everybody wants to focus on just one player. Amari Cooper. This is just losing Amari Cooper. If you make other plays and other things that come together, I mean, can the team productively be better? That's my question.
Yeah, I can if and fifth you all the way to death, Shift. But you know me by now. I talk about what is right and judge from there. You're effing and fiffing me to death. I can if and fifth you all the way to the Super Bowl, brother. I can do that easily because you're doing it.
I mean, we had conversations where what it is was the fact that it sounded crazy for them to cut Cooper, but they still did it.
It is crazy.
And these guys,
what do you mean?
But they on the inside, so you don't. We can sit up here and judge the analytics, but we don't know the mental side of the game because we're not in the locker room with these players. So you can't really sit up here and tell me internally what's going on in the organization for them to make that move.
Let me ask you this.
I mean, we've seen them sign guys.
What could the Cowboys have done to be better? Because it sounds like to me they've made every move has been the right move.
What could they have done to get better?
Yes.
What
could they have done better in this offseason?
I feel like just address the offensive line a little bit more. I mean, maybe as far as the center, maybe find another defensive game record. I mean, I feel like that would have been more important than wide receiver, just because of how many 1,000-yard wide receivers are churned out.
Yeah, I think you're.
You have a quarterback who revitalized a guy.
I didn't even bring up Amari Cooper in this situation. You keep going back to Amari Cooper. I don't know why.
No, it's not about going back to Amari Cooper. He's on the Browns. Like, I'm done with Amari Cooper. Like,
no, you're not. I'm
moving forward. Like, and so I'm happy about the fact that we're getting younger on the offensive line. I'm happy about the fact that defensively we're coming into our own. And yes, having Cooper would have been cool. You know, I don't want to undersell who he is and what he was to this team.
Better.
But at the same time, if you're getting better in other areas, that can. I mean, does the best wide receiver in the NFL always win the Super Bowl?
Like, what other areas are they better at?
I just told you, offensive line. I mean, you're defensively. You have a lot of first-year guys who showed out.
What you just told me, Schiff.
Second year.
Schiff, you just told me they needed to get better in the offense. You wish they would have did more at the offensive line. Now they're better at the offensive line. Yeah,
no, I'm saying you can still do more.
You know you're not messed up,
better. No, you can still do more and be better. So I know I didn't mess up. I'm saying that you can still do more. Like I can add an all-pro center, but I'm still saying that we got better at the left guard position. I'm saying that we got better at solidifying the right tackle position from a guy that you couldn't rely on coming in from last year.
Boy,
so I'm not speaking out of both sides. Like I'm saying.
Let me do something
both.
real quick. Can you pour me some of this Kool-Aid that you're drinking on right now, Schiff? I got my cup holding out right here. Give me some. I need some, Schiff.
That's fine. That's fine.
I'm serious.
Look,
I need some of this because your outlook.
Last season we had conversations about them cutting Cooper, and I said it was a possibility, and you just nah, you crazy, and it happened.
What does that mean?
So, what do you mean? What does it mean?
What does that mean?
It means you can be wrong, Scott.
I'm not. What am I wrong about? I'm not giving you an opinion on what this season is going to be. It just sounds like you have a lot of Kool-Aid and that everything is great, and I need some because I gotta see it. You're saying the offensive line is better. This wide receiver room is better. Mm-hmm. This team is better. I'm saying
I didn't say the wide receiver room is better.
Oh, it has a chance to be better.
It's not even about having a chance. I'm saying that you're improving in other aspects of your team.
The O-line is better.
Man,
I need some of that Kool-Aid, man.
The O-line's better. The defensive line's going to be better. Michael Parsons went to his second year. Your secondary is going to be like, come on, Scott. Like you're improving in other aspects. And then
I just asked you where, and you said the offensive line. And I think 99% of the nation would disagree, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, they haven't seen it. Like that same thing they said when they added Travis Frederick, right? What are we doing getting this guy? I mean, there was a lot of people. 99% of the nation was down to the Travis Frederick pick. I mean, if you led it to some hype type of Cowboys fans, they would have wanted Johnny Manziel over Zach Martin. I mean, you've gotten younger in the trenches. You're improving in the trenches. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not bummed on this wide receiving core. I think it's enough. Enough.
I don't disagree with that part. I think it's enough to be a productive passing game. I think we need to get I wish Michael Gallup wasn't hurt. If Michael Gallup played early on, I'd feel a million times better about this wide receiver.
And
a million times.
When's Michael Gallup supposed to come back?
They said 2 to 3. I think we'll know more in camp.
2 to 3 months.
That's what Steven said. You know how they do though. But I got a feeling they might put him on IR, man. That'll be 4 games.
I mean, would you rather Michael Gallup? I know you need Michael Gallup for those. I mean, you definitely need him for those first 5 games to just kind of contend with those 3 out of 5. Those teams. But I mean, if you get them toward the end of the year, I guess it would just kind of make your chances just to kind of dominate. Just kind of those. I mean, because we play a lot of bad teams this year, and I get the projection of the playoffs, but once you kind of get down to that point.
For me, it's not about the regular season. It's all about the offs. I know you got to get there, but that's where I'm at with it. If you look at the schedule, like you said, granted health, right? Let's hopefully everybody's healthy. I think this should be I think this should be a double-digit win team.
I mean, I think you have that quarterback. I feel like the year that we went when he got hurt, I feel like even though we started out bad, if he would have played the rest of those games, he would have salvaged the season. I mean, plenty of teams start out slow, and that's what I don't want Cowboys fans to do. Like if we end up going like 2-3 and we lose to all those teams, you have a stretch of the rest of the season to kind of. It is a problem. It is a problem because by then.
No, let me tell you why it's a problem.
11-6, you can still look at it like we can't beat
exactly,
teams, and that narrative will still be there.
Exactly. If you go look at the end of the season, if I find the schedule, there really is not many. Now again, the Colts can end up being amazing. The Eagles can end up being amazing. The Titans can end up being amazing. But if the Cowboys come out of the first 5 and they lose against the Bucks, the Bengals, and the Rams, how am I supposed to go, you know what I'm saying, into the rest of the year? That's tough.
Same token, if you end up playing the Bucks and they end up looking like what I feel like they're supposed to look like without Antonio Brown, because Dominique Foxworth, Dan Orlovsky dropped a top 10 quarterback list where he said these are the top 10 quarterbacks that teams can win with. And, of course, Dak wasn't on the list. He had the likes of Matt Stafford on there, Derek Carr, Tom Brady. But Foxworth made an excellent point about Tom Brady and the fact that look how he looked at the end of his tenure with the Patriots. You know, and
he
and
didn't
so
have
when you
this
talk
kind of
about-
talent.
Yeah, I mean, and so I think, and I don't want to feed into another. I don't want to set myself up for another contradiction, Scott.
Right.
Because then the next point is going to be, you know, if you put talent around your quarterback. But I think they still did it with. I mean, even though Tolbert is a third-round pick, I still think that added some more. If you still have that running game intact, wide receiver-wise, if Ceedee Lamb steps up, and I know it's an if, but I mean we have enough. What can I say? We have enough data to support that wide receivers, you know, do make those leaps.
Get Michael Gallup back, all the way healthy, back in connection with Dak, and if Washington is your slot guy, I think you can be productive passing team. I think it'll depend more on Cooper. I'm sorry, not Cooper. More on Kellen Moore, and more on Dak progressing. But hey, that's just the nature of the game, man. It's the nature of the game.
And then I guess if you mix in what this defense was capable of doing for your team overall.
So that's a whole different discussion. I have no issues with the defense, bro. I think the defense is going to be. I personally think it's going to be really good damn defense. So. But hey,
yeah,
look,
and
Shift. We can talk for 20 minutes, bro. I gotta get to a few more and finish the show, bro.
Take it easy, Scott. Have a good week, bro.
I appreciate you, Shift.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes it slips my mind how long I'm on the horn. My apologies, y'all. My apologies. Before we move on, though, let's talk about this week's ride of the week. The 2022 Hyundai Santa Cruz, starting at $33,560 for the top of the line version. They have the towing capable with the trailer sway control, miles per gallon, 21 in the city, 26 in the highway, and the many more different type of things that you can get with this week's ride of the week. They have all the up-to-date features that you need, and if you need more information, you can hit up freemanhyundai.com or visit Freeman Hyundai in Irving, Texas.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
In front of the millions
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
We'll do it live.
Excellent question, DWTT. Appreciate you, by the way. He says, good show, Sky. So when do we feel good about this team? 2-3 games to the season? Let me say this. You can feel good about it whenever you want. Like, you can feel good about it right now. I don't even feel bad about this team. That's the thing. This is going to be, well, barring injury. I do this all the time. Barring injury, this should be a good team on paper. This should be a good team in the win column. But I'm just not doing what I did last year. So y'all just got to forgive me. I'm not falling for it again. I need them to go prove it to me against these better teams. I need them to go prove it to me eventually in the playoffs. But they can't do that unless they do it with the better teams first. I think that's fair. That's all I'm asking for them to do. That's me, y'all. I'm not trying to change y'all mind. That's just me because I've been burnt. And I think there's a lot of things that this team can be better at, most of them defensively, I think. And I think that left guard in the run game and things like that. But, man, it's a lot of hope to it. And I try not to live in that hope too much because over the last few years, I think it was less hope and more matter of a fact. Dak Prescott's coming back from injury. Matter of a fact, this offense is going to be a million times better. Period. Ceedee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper. That's why receiving core top 1, 2, 3 in the league. Period. At one point, you had a matter of a fact about the offensive line. Now it's not so much. Healthy Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard. Matter of a fact. Top duo in the league. Period. It's not too many things that are a matter of a fact with this team right now. besides defensively, I think you got a matter of a fact. Slow down. Great defensive player in Micah Parsons. One of the all-around defensive ends, top cornerback, and I think a dynamic safety. One of the top defensive coordinators. Other than that, hey, man. Sorry, y'all. They got to prove it to me. They got to prove some things to me because I got burned. That's all. That's all, man. That's all. All right, here's what we're going to do. We are going to listen to Kyle Yeomans, who spoke glowingly of a couple other different wide receivers at OTAs. I am not toxic, Tom. That is what I'm not. That is what I'm not. You, sir, took the joy out of that 7-2 run. I won't do that. We're going to have some fun. We're going to live it up. But anyway, Yeomans talked about two other guys on this roster that at this moment, with James Washington being out, Michael Gallup being out, they have the opportunity to take the next step and be a part of this rotation because they may need to be counted on, right? We go look at the room. I mean, do I have to say anything about – I don't want to see that one either. My bad, y'all. Do I have to say anything about Noah Brown? Nothing really to say about Noah Brown. Noah Brown is a wide receiver 4 or 5 at best and a special teams guy. Right? A special teams guy. But Simi, I said this before, y'all. Simi has to break the spell. We got to hope that Simi breaks the spell of the 5th round pick syndrome here. And he's got an opportunity to do it because you got guys that are out. Here are the 5th round picks since 2012. Simi from last year, last year, who didn't play. Bradley and Mike and Joe Jackson. Quarterback Mike White, Ryan Russell. Devin Street. I remember Devin Street. I think it's Pops or something like that. Strange. Joe Randall and Danny Cole. Not a great list. When the most successful 5th round pick was shoeless Joe, Joe Randall, who stole some draws in Cologne from a Macy's. You got a problem, folks. You got a problem. But sounds like Simi Fehoko is getting a little bit better. Let's take a quick listen to what Kyle Yeomans had to say up close and personal watching Simi at OTAs.
And I thought a couple guys, one was Simi Fehoko from last year's draft pick, and a guy who never really got to see playing time and was really an afterthought on this roster throughout last season. I thought he finally got legitimate reps with the quarterbacks. And Dak Prescott involved, but also Will Grier, Cooper Rush in there too. And I thought Fehoko looked good. He looked quicker. Not necessarily like a massive step forward in terms of the quickness, but his routes are sharper. His footwork looks crisper. I mean, he has had a visible improvement. You can see that in the early parts of training camp. And, I mean, in terms of the way that he navigated around the red zone yesterday was something that I had written down as an improvement for sure.
How he navigated around the red zone. What you're going to hear me talk about with these next 2 wide receivers is red zone. Simi and TJ are skyscrapers. If we could give them a nickname, we always give this nickname, at least from my understanding, to 2 tall people, Twin Towers. Right? And I think they could be it. One is 6'5", right? I think Simi's 6'5", TJ 6'6". And you hear, I shouldn't say saw, you hear them being involved in the red zone. And I said this about Kellen Moore, and I'll say it again. I think that the mark of a really damn good coordinator is being able to get fringe guys a role or a part of the offense because they have one specific thing that they can do well. And with Simi and TJ, it's size. It's length. Simi's actually got some speed on him as well. It's being physical. Now, as a pure wide receiver, both of those guys have things they got to get better at. And he talked about it. He's become a better route runner. He's a little bit more quicker because big guys is tough. You know, when you 6'5", what is he now, y'all? 220 something. I think they wanted him to put on some weight to play a hybrid role, but I'm not really hearing much of a hybrid anything, which is another thing that's weird. Apparently they said, Simi, we want you to be a hybrid tight end. Well, you know what, Simi, we're going to go draft this tight end to be the tight end too. We're also going to bring back Sprinkle, and we got McEwen. There ain't no need to have Simi be a hybrid tight end. Let him be a wide receiver. Let him hone his craft as a wide receiver. So, with Simi, I'm really going to be keying in on him when he comes down in Dallas, when I go out there to Oxnard. And again, seeing that chemistry. Dak actually talked about the first time in the last, 2 or 3 years, being able to do these type of activities with these young guys, getting them in. They weren't able to do that last year and the previous year, so that's a positive. I knew y'all were going to say something about that sidearm throw. Brian says sidearm, DiNucci, salami, slinger, DiNucci, king element. Timeout, bro. No. Pause. Yes, toxic. Duncan and Robinson are the Twin Towers, yes. We love you too, Island A. Lucky I don't got my who in the blue hell are you. Oh, yeah, man. Joe Jackson, Mike Jackson. I swear, like I said this before. Y'all think they was trolling us, Cowboys Nation? I think they was trolling us. You took Mike Jackson, and right after that, you took Joe. Ain't no way, man. D Shift said third round wide receivers can be productive. Absolutely. 100% they can be. I think Jalen Tolbert should have a solid season. I wouldn't put that pressure on him to be the wide receiver 2 in production, and I don't know that I want to because he's young but he older at the same time. But I would love for him to kind of have a natural development, kind of like Ceedee Lamb. Ceedee Lamb came in, he wasn't wide receiver 1 or 2. He was the third wide receiver. D Shift said we beat the Bucks. People will say the Bucks took a step back. I don't care what people say, because you know what's funny? Tuck had an excellent point. It was a cheat sheet of the Cowboys beat a team. This is why I do these shows. Like, screw national media. Screw these fans. Context, the Bucks are a good team. But he said, if the Cowboys beat the Bucks, it's Brady's old. If the Cowboys beat the Rams, it's Super Bowl hangover. If the Cowboys beat the Bengals, it's Super Bowl hangover or whatever. There's going to be an excuse. Cool. Let them have their excuse. Dallas shouldn't give a shit, and you shouldn't give a damn about what they're saying, because there's only but so many of these top echelon teams on the schedule. And last year, they failed to do that. Let's be real. If they did the same thing last year, you know what would have been the story? Cowboys, Buccaneers, Super Bowl hangover, so nothing changes. They'd beat the Cardinals up. Cardinals didn't have Deontay Hopkins. That's never going to change, Cowboy fans. So stop worrying about that, right? And focus on, can your teams stack up against the best teams and beat them when it matters? That's what the Cowboys have to prove, not anything to the national media, in my opinion. All right, let's get back to the state of the unit and I won't say last guy, but the last guy of the bottom roster is TJ Vasher. Before I do that, if y'all want to call into the show, you can. 351-999-3787 is the call-in line. Listen to and this one's a little bit lengthy, but I thought it was interesting because he was really excited about TJ Vasher and what he saw. Let's remember, Vasher, I think he got hurt very early in training camp. They didn't have any OTAs really. So you really didn't get to see a lot of TJ Vasher. And then when I went to training camp, he was already all the way hurt. He didn't participate at all. He kind of was on the sideline. But this is what Yeomans had to say about TJ.
And then TJ Vasher, who was a 2021 undrafted free agent, injured last year, never really got a chance to go. He's just like a walking highlight reel. He made one grab yesterday on Anthony Brown on the goal line, where Dak threw it in a tight window, and Vasher went and got it, and he was in the end zone for a touchdown. He's got a little personality to him too, which I like. He started grittying after the play. It was because hey, He was an undrafted guy who was injured all of last year. Turned around and guess what? He made a play on a starter. He's gonna dance a little bit. So yeah, a couple of those receivers getting some valuable reps with Dak and Greer and Cooper Rush and Ben DiNucci of getting into the rotation and getting to play these guys or with these guys throughout OTAs.
Man, you brought up Vasher, and I got excited because I think he could be a weapon, right? Like, he may not be the most crisp route running guy. He's not the fastest or whatever, but you can't teach 6'6", and he probably can jump 14 feet. So, you could use that in the red zone.
Yeah, his catch radius is the best on the team by far. I mean, he 100% has so much room that he could grow from a fundamental standpoint, but that's something that maybe he was able to kind of focus in on during a quote-unquote redshirt year because he was hurt and because he had time to kind of to talk with these coaches and develop. If he can bring the same sort of speed and the same sort of athleticism that you would anticipate from him, at least from a pass catcher standpoint, I don't see why he couldn't fill a back end of the depth chart role, maybe like a Malik Turner role where he's not necessarily needed a ton of the time. Maybe you could put him on special teams and play out there if he's good at that. I still haven't really gotten a chance to see that to a certain extent. So, hey, if he excels at that, he may be able to find the back end of the depth chart role because I'm with you. I really want to see him shine because I was higher on him. I thought he would have been drafted last year, but the fact that he was signed was really exciting. And then, hey, he's got an opportunity to make it work with that size, that frame, and that athleticism all together.
I thought it was very important to hear him talk about doing special teams things. You saw some of those highlights right there. Vasher wasn't a big-time receiver at Texas Tech, but he's literally big. He's 6'6". You know what I'm saying? He's tall, he's lanky, he's skinny or whatever. But, again, I think an element of being one of the greats or one of the top coordinators is being able to find roles for those specialty type of players. You go look at the Saints. They've done it for years under Sean Payton, right? For years. So, Kyle Shanahan, I mean, you go look at any running back he throws back there. Debo's Debo, but he even put Debo in situations. There was, I think, a 5th or 6th round guy that wide receiver that had like 5 touchdowns last year, but he did it in a specific role. So, I think getting a guy like Vasher, if he's on this team, right? He might not be on the team, but if he makes the team, don't just let him just sit around. 6'6" is, boy, he got to play special teams. So I'm interested to see how that 6'6" long deer-like, trot or what have you gets down on special teams. I don't know how many 6'6" wide receivers. I mean, I guess there's back into the roster guys that do it. He just doesn't strike me as a special teams guy. But if he's going to make this team, and we look at this room, Ceedee Lamb, James Washington. What if Michael Gallup doesn't go on IR? That's another roster spot. Jalen Tolbert, who we're not really going to go in depth on today because we've covered Jalen Tolbert, but Jalen Tolbert's obviously on this team. Noah Brown. It's one of those things, man. Prove it to me that Noah Brown's not going to make this team. Prove it to me. Now, can he be beat out? Absolutely, he can be beat out. Simi Fehoko, who is a 5th round pick, and then there's TJ Vasher. How does he get on this team? He's going to have to outperform Noah Brown, but guess what Noah Brown has? Noah Brown is a veteran. He knows this system. He knows this quarterback, and he's in Bones Fossil's pocket. But if he can get on this team, use his ass, man. 6'6", you get down to, and again, we're just having a little fun at this point now. You get down to the red zone and say TJ's on this team. Michael Gallup is back. Ceedee Lamb. I don't even bring out a slot wide receiver. I say you contend with these 3 dudes who can jump out the building and moss you. You contend with it. Throw Ceedee Lamb in the slot and let's have fun. Brandon Gomez, appreciate you for the donation. Let me get to these super chats real quick.
Super chat.
Says, don't worry, Peyton will use Vasher next year. Oh, I see what you did there, sir. I see what you did there. Y'all really on this Sean Payton train, huh? Well, I mean, listen, let me say this, man. I would not be mad at it. And it is kind of adding up to some stuff like that. But I'm not looking at this season as a punt. I know a lot of people be like, oh, this is the punt year. I just can't do that just yet. Earlier, Brando, appreciate you for the donation. I thought I missed another one.
Super chat.
He says, I'm excited for the defense and still questions about the O, but will feel better if we got Debo, Gallup, Lamb, and Schultz. Yeah, I saw you guys were kind of going back and forth about Debo Samuels. Do we really think that's a possibility? Or do we have to entertain it because Stephen Jones did shell out a first round pick for Cooper? I just don't see that happening, you know. That's why I haven't really been, it's not a topic on any of our shows. It might have been in the roundup when he took that picture. I don't even know if it was in the roundup when he took the picture, but it just seems so far-fetched to me that once it happens, then we could talk about it. But you're talking about giving up multiple premium picks and then paying Debo Samuels $20+ million when they just got rid of a guy who was making $20+ million and, in my opinion, was still a top flight wide receiver. So I don't know that that's going to happen. And then Andrew says we can't use our current weapons. Debo ain't coming. Not holding my breath on Debo. Yeah, me winning the Powerball is a possibility. There's no lies told there. King Element says, Kellen about to have a red zone package of Washington and Brown. Boy, I was watching some film yesterday. And the many times that I saw Noah Brown in the game. Now, the one game, it was no choice. The two games, actually, the Chiefs and the Raiders. Chiefs and the Raiders. They didn't have a choice, but boy. Noah just, I don't know, man. Like Noah Brown, salute to my man. He's had a career, right? He's been in the league. He's been on the team, not practice squad, not, you know what I'm saying, not cut. He's been on the team for like 5-6 straight years. Salute to him. I just can't figure out how we've not been able to find somebody with more potential. Mastermind said, I'm tired of Noah Brown, Sky. That's who I'm over with. Use the shit for training camp and drop him this. Damn. Mastermind's pissed. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on and how he continues to be here. I mean, y'all tell me. Like, is there something special about him? And you don't got to be special, but if you got a special quality, maybe it's the blocking. Maybe that's what it is. It's probably the blocking. DP says Noah Brown has got to go. Love the dude, but if we just need blocking and special teams, might as well get younger. That's how I feel, DP. Like, I would take my chances on a dude with more potential. Like, we like to throw darts. We call it throwing darts at the draft. Hell, throw darts at the bottom end of your roster as well because you want to hit on those. I talked about this months ago about the Patriots. If you go back and look at their successful run from like 2000 to a couple years ago, they constantly threw darts at bottom roster guys or mid roster guys from other teams, and they turned out to be staples for them for years. I'd much rather do that than, you know, as my guy Schiff said. Here's the funny thing. He talked about, he spun it and said, you know, keeping, well, what about, there's a positive aspect to it by getting rid of guys before they go down and the downtrend of their career, even though Amari's like 28, he's not old. He's still super productive. So you get rid of Amari early. But you keep Noah Brown? That don't sit right with me. I digress. That don't sit right with me. Elezra said, you said it already. We get his role and he knows what to do. What is his role? Special teams? Because if that's it, man, rather upgrade. Gregory, Debo doesn't want to be Debo. Apparently, Debo Samuels just want to get paid. I don't know if I was listening to the radio this morning or wherever I was listening to. Apparently, the conversation with Dak and Debo was he wants to get paid. And we know this man right here will have something to say about that, right? You have something to say about that. Toxic says, Sky, Jerry loves his kids, Jason, Kellen, and Noah. Where'd you go, Mel? There you go. Noah specializes in being cheap. Yeah. But you can get. I digress. Michael H., a blocking tight end and someone to take Brown's special teams job. He is done. Well, we got that. And once we get into the state of the unit tight ends, we'll talk about that. But I think they got a plethora of blocking guys or supposed blocking. In fact, if you want to be real, and maybe I'll dive into it more, all of the guys on this, all the tight ends on this team were literally brought in here because they could block. Now, one has developed into a receiver, but not one of them was brought in here because they are receiving weapons. Interesting. B Bird, man. What's good, OG? Good to see you. Just say no to Debo. Stephen White, for whatever reason, is on this Matt Willetsko at tight end train. All right, let's wrap up the series. Well, not the series. Let's wrap up the first part of the series and the state of the unit wide receivers and talk about Michael Gallup, Cowboys Nation. Again, if you go look at how we did this whole entire show, I really didn't dive into Michael Gallup. And it's because he won't be available for quite some time, possibly 4 games, maybe 3. Is what Steven said. Hey, maybe it turns around and he's available. That'd be awesome. But Michael Gallup could potentially be the linchpin to this wide receiver group. He's the dirty player. He's the gritty player. He's the possession wide receiver. The thing about Cowboys fans, we love to compare him to the guys we loved during certain eras. He's the Dez Bryant type of receiver. Go up and get it. Not going to be a pretty route runner. The difference between Dez had the persona and the energy. Michael Gallup, I think, gives you that energy through his plays like that, right? Mossing people in the end zone. It was clear Dallas missed that last year. It was clear. I think Dak Prescott missed that last year. Dak will throw that thing up to Michael Gallup. He will absolutely throw the ball up to Michael Gallup more than I think any other wide receiver I've seen over the last 3 years. He don't care. And for good reason. I dubbed it 2 years ago when Coach Bird came on the show on Late Night. I said, man, they call it 50-50 balls. I think it's 100-0. If you throw it up to Michael Gallup, dude just comes down with it. He's excellent on the sideline. The toe taps are amazing. Let's not get it twisted. He's a stud. He's a stud in what he does, which is why it's sickening that he's not going to be available. Now, if you want me to be sinister, I can. Would I rather have kept Coop? Sure, I would have rather kept Coop. And not got a guy coming off the ACL. But let's just pretend there's no ACL. Pretend he comes back, everything is healthy. He might be the linchpin to how successful this passing game can be at the tail end of the season. And I know y'all like, well, what about the beginning? I'm skipping that because I'm trying to remain positive here. Trying to remain positive. But if you get Michael Gallup back all the way, like I said, they connect. Ceedee Lamb continues to progress. You got your 1-2 punch. And don't get it twisted. You need multiple wide receivers in this league. Don't let nobody fool you to thinking one wide receiver is enough. Nope, not in 2022. You need multiple weapons. And then here's to boot. In a system, a Kellen Moore system that doesn't allow you to feature one guy, you need a bunch of dudes that just in case anybody can get off. I said this before. Nobody gave a damn who or how Ceedee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, Schultz, whoever the hell it was the first 6-7 weeks of the season. Nobody cared. Nobody cared because it was productive. It worked. And once things got tight and they adapted, that's when all of a sudden, we start counting yards and things like that. Well, there's not going to be a Amari Cooper. You're not going to have a big 3 at wide receiver. So I think what we're going to need to do is feature that guy here at the bottom of the screen. Feature Michael Gallup when he comes back and let everything else fall into place. Let everything else just fall into place because I don't think you got, at the beginning at the very least, you don't got 2 top flight guys. I love Jalen Tolbert. He ain't a top flight guy. James Washington ain't no top flight guy. Simi, TJ, Noah, none of these dudes are top flight guys that are going to make teams game plan. And I'm not saying that Gallup is a game plan, but I think you got to kind of peek over there, right? Like, all right, man, listen, it's 3rd and 8, or we at the 25. You throw that thing up to Gallup. I got to cheat over just a little bit. Damn, there's Ceedee Lamb. I might have to cheat over a little bit. Tolbert, Washington, Simi. They got to prove that. They got to earn that respect. Got to earn that respect. What y'all talking about in here? Y'all getting on El Doro. I can never pronounce your name. Is it Lemitra? Jose believes you can't win championships with guys like Coop. You have to get rid of beta dogs. What is a guy like Coop? I'm curious. Personality-wise. Dallas Sports, let them have their excuses. Focus on beating these teams. Oh, I think you're going back to earlier. Tanju says focus on utilizing Pollard first. Oh, we've dived into that a ton here. King Element, Gallup is a weird one. He's a splash play guy, but he'll have the weirdest drops in the world. Early on in his career, boy, those drops. Those drops were crazy. It's kind of like the drops he's just circulated in Dallas. Amari Cooper had the drops early in his career with Dallas. I think the Cowboys actually led the league in drops. 2019. Coop had him at that time. Cobb had him. He had a lot of drops. And Gallup had the drops. Mike was Dak's bailout guy. I would say that would be Schultz. I think there was a strategic way about it, Glenn, with that going to Michael Gallup down the field because he can trust him. Hey, I know I can just throw that thing up and Michael go get it. I think of the Atlanta Falcons game in 2020. I think of the Giants game, and that wasn't Dak, but it was Dalton in 2020. I think it was 2020 as well. Seattle. He threw it up to Mike as well. It might have been 2019, y'all. My apologies. Uh-oh. Somebody said, are we trying to bring on AB? Who's trying to bring in AB? Oh, so the word of the day for Cooper is soft. Soft player. Mike Wade says, just throw Cooper the damn ball. F the false alpha male bravado. I'm gonna let y'all have all that. I can care less. I can care less, honestly. Just get the rock, be productive with it. Everybody's not gonna be a dog. You ain't gonna have a whole bunch of dogs on your team, unfortunately. He wasn't one of them. And people are upset all of a sudden. They loved Cooper. Cooper was loved prior to last year. Then he has 800 yards, 8 touchdowns, and it's trash. He's soft. He's a beta. Okay, I mean, hey. Oh, Anthony, not Antonio. Okay, so nobody wants Antonio. Good, because I don't think he wants to play, and I think he would absolutely be a cancer. But then who brought up the cancer? Okay, you guys are having a conversation about Bradbury and AB. Rashawn. That'd be a little bit of a reach, but I hear you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but was Jerry Rice loud and animated? greatest of all time. You know who I thought of, Rashawn? Not too much farther down, but because he's still Hall of Famer, was Marvin Harrison. Like, I don't know if this comparison has been made, and we're kind of going in the weeds here the last few minutes of the show. He feels much more Marvin Harrison to me. Just obviously didn't have a Peyton Manning or the opportunities like Marvin, but a guy who's ultra productive, a guy who is quiet in reality on the field, not a loud, animated guy. I ain't animated like, say, a Busta Rhymes. But uber talented. Fantastic player. Just not alpha. That's kind of who he reminds me of. Now, there's some stuff with Marvin Harrison off the field, I'm getting all that. But seriously, though, he's more Marvin to me. Now if he goes on to have 5 more seasons of 1,000 yards and 6 to 8, 9 touchdowns in a year, then he'll have a really damn good career, and he's got a quarterback to do it. But that's how I look at him. They didn't need Marvin Harrison to be an alpha. I don't think Dallas needed Cooper to be an alpha. I don't think we know what we want. We had T.O., Des Bryant, Mark. We had alpha. We had no alpha. We know what we need, and I said this before, and I'm going to say it again as we wrap up this show. We need a damn win. We need a win. We've demeaned Coop, Lamb, Zeke, TP, Dak Prescott, everybody. Because we ain't got to win. That's all that is. That's all that is. Hey, let me tell you guys about Worth the Poor before we get on up out of here. They're actually doing something really cool this week, working with Courage and Conviction for a special still Memorial Day promotion that will go on through the end of the week. For all orders of their bourbon and their sherry cask, 10% of the proceeds will go to a Folds of Honor charity, a nonprofit organization that helps provide the families of fallen and disabled service members educational scholarships. So if you purchase any of these whiskey flavors in a fantastic way to show support for an incredible charity this Memorial Day, stop by Worth the Poor for free samples of these flavors. And as always, use the code ATOZ Sports to save 5% on all orders $20 or more. Download that Worth the Poor app or visit them over in the colony of Texas. We got about 2 more minutes. I'll get into the chat here. Joey says, Will, would you consider Pollard another threat at wide receiver? Nah, I wouldn't consider him a threat at wide receiver. Like, he played slot wide receiver in Memphis. There's no doubt about that. He didn't do a whole lot of downfield things, though. A lot of the stuff was kind of at the line of scrimmage, right past the line of scrimmage. I think he's a fantastic running back. I said this early on in his career. He's a good running back. He's versatile. Kamara, Pollard, use him just like that. Just like that to me. Now, Joey, what I will say is he'll need to be utilized in the passing game more early on without Michael Gallup. I don't think it necessarily has to be as a quote-unquote true wide receiver. It can be in dual back sets. It can be in single back sets. You can have Zeke and Tony out there, motion Tony out in the slot, bring them from behind, wheel routes, option routes, all types of things, screens. What happened to us being a good screen team? Zeke used to take screens to the crib the first 2 years. Terrible at the screen game now. Mastermind thinks Dez could play on the team right now. Jose said, Michael H. blackballed by woke BS doesn't mean you don't know flow. Okay, you guys are getting into different things now. All good. Will Schultz get this deal before June 15th, says CJ Richards. Can you see them pay? I can't see them paying. Let me go see what the numbers were on. It was 4 years, $56 million. I think it was 4 years, $56 million. $28 million guaranteed, 14 per. I just can't see that. Like, I can't see them doing that right now. Nah, nope. I'm going to say no, CJ. I'm going to say no. Maybe it's because I think that they should let him play on it. But they do like to get ahead of these deals. I personally think they should play on the CJ. Let's see how he does. Did he take the next step as a player? Not just in this offense, but as a player. Like, is he more of a downfield threat? Can he make even more people miss? Can he get better as a blocker? Get back to being known as being a blocker guy? Because let's be real. I think what they want out of him is to be Jason Witten. They want him to be a well-rounded tight end, a top-end blocker and a top-end receiver. And if he can be that, then they'll pay him. I think they'll pay him. Rashawn. That's kind of how I feel about all the ifs and fifths, Rashawn. I can't if and fifth y'all to death in May. Not after this offseason. Let's see what these boys can do out here in these preseason games and in these games early on against these good teams, right? Let's see what happens here. AJ says I'm more excited about that the NBA season is over. Not me, man. I wanted the Mavs to go all the way. Last one. I don't know if it's favoritism or that you don't have much behind the top three cornerbacks. Unproven commodities would have likely been the same. Not sure. I thought there would be more there. But, all right, y'all, listen. This was the first installment of the State of the Unit series. We'll continue to do these, not daily. Maybe 2 a week. We'll get into it. And then once we get to, because you're going to get a dry spell here in a minute, man. You're going to get to OTAs will be done, right? And we're going to get into that weird month where there ain't nothing. And that's where I like to do these State of the Unit series. And then hopefully I'll have a special episode next week if all things go well this weekend. So y'all stay up on that. Do me a favor on the way out of here. If you guys enjoyed the show, hit the like button. It helps. It really does. We are growing at a really nice steady pace. I'm trying to be at 20K by the end of the season or end of the year, and I think it's possible. I think we can get there. I do, but now without your help, you guys have been fantastic in growing this channel. Really have. I dub this thing the home of the quality of Cowboys content because I truly believe that, and I put the work in to bring that to y'all every single day. So hit that sub button on the way out. And if you are part of the Bomb Squad, go ahead and drop the fire emojis. Go ahead and drop the bombs on the way out as I press this button, and I'll let y'all know what to do later on. And that's hit up A to Z Sports Primetime Show with my guy Mauricio Rodriguez. Good stuff today, man. Good stuff. Can't wait to go back and listen to it and listen to what y'all had to say and read what y'all had to say. As always, y'all fantastic. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Short week for a lot of us. Short week. I'll see y'all later over on the volume. Check me out. Watch Boy Live. Be out of here. Peace. Love you.
Get your damn act together.